The mask falls. Logan Paul stands there, fists still clenched, the crowd erupting in confusion. And underneath that hood, underneath all those weeks of mystery and chaos, a face nobody recognizes. Not the commentators, not Paul Heyman, not even the guy holding the World Heavyweight Championship. Just some independent wrestler that 99% of the WWE Universe has never heard of. But here's what they're not telling you, and it's about to blow this entire storyline wide open. Because while WWE wants you to believe this was just some random nobody, the truth is far more calculated, far more sinister. And it all leads back to one man who's been pulling the strings from the shadows while nursing a torn shoulder. And if you stick around until the end of this video, everything about the vision, everything about these attacks, and everything about what's coming at WrestleMania is going to make perfect sense. But I need you to do something for me real quick. If you're hyped for what's about to unfold, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me if you think Seth Rollins is the mastermind behind all of this. And hey, if you love wrestling content that goes deeper than the surface, hit that subscribe button because we're about to expose one of the most intricate revenge plots WWE has constructed in years. Let's rewind to February 27th. SmackDown rolls into Louisville, Kentucky, the final stop before Elimination Chamber. The night starts with chaos. Jey Uso, one of the most beloved members of the roster, is found laid out backstage. Not just hurt, destroyed. Taken out so viciously that he has to be stretchered to a hospital, effectively removing him from the Elimination Chamber match that was supposed to be his moment. And immediately the questions start flying. Who did this? Was it Drew McIntyre continuing his psychological warfare? Was it Jacob Fatu sending a message? Or was it something else entirely? Nick Aldis, the SmackDown general manager, finds himself in a bind. There's an open spot in the chamber match, and the show hasn't even really started yet. Enter The Vision. Well, what's left of them anyway. Logan Paul and Austin Theory, flanked by the silver-tongued devil himself, Paul Heyman, march out and make their case. They want Logan Paul in that chamber. They want him to have a shot at becoming the next #1 contender for the WWE Championship. Classic opportunism from a faction that's been falling apart at the seams for months. But then, Jacob Fatu steps up. The Samoan werewolf has a score to settle with Drew McIntyre, and he's not about to let Logan Paul slide into a championship opportunity without a fight. So all this makes the call. Paul versus Fatu in the main event. Winner takes the chamber spot. Simple enough, right? Except nothing involving the Vision has been simple since Seth Rollins got kicked to the curb back in October. The match itself? Pure mayhem. Fatu's bringing that Samoan intensity, throwing Logan Paul around like he owes him money. Theory's at ringside doing what Theory does best, causing distractions, trying to tilt the scales in Paul's favor. And just when it looks like Fatu is about to seal the deal with a Samoan drop followed by that devastating moonsault, the arena explodes. Because there he is again, the Masked Man, the figure that's been haunting WWE programming since the Royal Rumble. The ghost that attacked Bron Breakker and cost him his shot at glory.
This time, the Masked Man goes straight for Austin Theory, takes him out at ringside with surgical precision. The crowd's going absolutely insane because everyone's thinking the same thing. This is it. This is the big reveal. This is where we finally find out who's been orchestrating this campaign of terror against the Vision. Logan Paul, to his credit, doesn't hesitate. He rolls out of the ring, grabs the masked attacker, and rips that hood right off his head. And what we get? Disappointment. Confusion. A collective groan from the WWE Universe. Because staring back at everyone is Don Furio, an independent wrestler, a guy who's had maybe a handful of matches that anyone remembers, someone so unknown that even Michael Cole and Corey Graves, who are paid to know everyone in wrestling, had absolutely nothing to say about him. The announcers don't acknowledge his name. Paul looks bewildered. Heyman's face is a mask of confusion. And in that moment of distraction, Drew McIntyre, that Scottish psychopath, slides into the ring and blasts Jacob Fatu with the WWE Championship belt. Paul rolls Fatu up, gets the 3 count, and just like that, Logan Paul is heading to the Elimination Chamber while the mystery of the Masked Man seems to fizzle out like a dud firecracker. Except, it doesn't. Because here's what the cameras didn't show you. Here's what WWE conveniently left out of their commentary. Don Furio isn't just some random independent wrestler they pulled off the street. This guy has a very specific connection to a very specific superstar. According to multiple sources, Don Furio trained at the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy. You know who owns that academy? Who built it from the ground up? Seth freaking Rollins, the visionary himself. The founder of the Vision who got betrayed, beaten down, and cast out by Bron Breakker, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman last October, right before he went in for shoulder surgery. But wait, there's more. Furio also trained at the Nightmare Factory, Cody Rhodes' school. So this guy has direct connections to two of the biggest names in WWE. He's been molded by Rollins' techniques, taught the ins and outs of that Black and Brave style, and suddenly everything starts clicking into place. Every attack, every appearance, every time this masked figure showed up using Seth Rollins' signature curb stomp on Bron Breakker at the Royal Rumble, it all makes sense. Seth Rollins, recovering from shoulder surgery, unable to exact his revenge physically, sent one of his own students to do his dirty work. Think about it. The attack started right around the time Rollins would have been going through rehab. The Masked Man specifically targeted Vision members. He hit Breakker. He went after Logan Paul. He's been systematically dismantling the faction that betrayed him, piece by piece, all while maintaining plausible deniability because he's been nowhere near a WWE ring. This is psychological warfare at its finest. This is Seth Rollins playing four-dimensional chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He couldn't physically be there to get his revenge, so he sent a proxy, a student, someone who owes him, someone who learned everything from him. And the beautiful part? WWE can play this however they want. Is Don Furio the only masked man? Or is he a decoy, a red herring meant to throw everyone off the scent while Rollins prepares for his grand return? Because here's what nobody's talking about. The Vision is imploding, completely falling apart. Seth Rollins, out with a shoulder injury. Bron Breakker, sidelined with a hernia. Bronson Reed just tore his bicep on the February 23rd episode of Raw. That's 3 of the original members, the core of this faction, all injured and out of action. The only ones left standing are Austin Theory, Logan Paul, and Paul Heyman, desperately trying to hold together a sinking ship. The timing is too perfect, too convenient. Just as Rollins is reportedly nearing his return, just as WrestleMania season is heating up, the Vision is in shambles. Breakker was supposed to face Rollins at WrestleMania. That match was being built. The betrayal, the Masked Man attacks, everything was leading to that collision. But Breakker's hernia threw a wrench in those plans. So what does Rollins do? He keeps the pressure on. He keeps the attacks coming through Don Furio and possibly others. And think about the message this sends. Seth Rollins doesn't need to be physically present to destroy you. Even from the sidelines, even while recovering, he's still 10 steps ahead. He's still the architect, still the visionary. He built this faction, and now he's systematically tearing it down using the very tactics and students he cultivated over the years. It's poetic, it's vicious, and it's absolutely brilliant storytelling. Now, could this all be a massive letdown? Could WWE really just have Don Furio be a nobody who happened to interfere for no reason? Sure, they could. But that would be the dumbest creative decision since, swelled, pick any number of questionable WWE calls over the years. Everything about this points to Rollins. The Black and Brave connection, the curb stomp at the Rumble, the targeting of specific Vision members, the timing with Rollins' recovery. It's all there. Here's what I think is going to happen. Don Furio was the first test, the first soldier in Rollins' army, but he won't be the last. As we get closer to WrestleMania, as Rollins gets healthier, we're going to see more attacks, more chaos, more masked figures causing havoc, and eventually, Rollins himself is going to step out of the shadows and reveal that he's been orchestrating this entire campaign of vengeance from day one. The question is, who does he target first? Bron Breakker's injured, so that dream match is off the table for now. Bronson Reed's out, but Logan Paul, Austin Theory, they're still standing. They're still carrying the Vision name, and they're prime targets for a returning Seth Rollins who has months of pent-up aggression and a score to settle. Paul Heyman's the wild card here, the man who betrayed Roman Reigns, who turned on CM Punk, who allied himself with Rollins only to stab him in the back when Breakker and Reed decided they wanted control. Heyman's a survivor. He's always aligning himself with whoever holds the power.
But what happens when the man who built the foundation comes back to reclaim what's his? What happens when Seth Rollins walks back into that arena, looks Paul Heyman dead in the eye, and demands an explanation? That's money. That's compelling television. That's the kind of long-term storytelling that WWE excels at when they actually commit to it. And everything about this Masked Man storyline suggests they're committed. The weeks of build, the Royal Rumble attack, the continued interference on both Raw and SmackDown, the reveal of Don Furio with his undeniable connection to Rollins, it's all building towards something massive. So when Logan Paul ripped that mask off on February 27th and everyone saw Don Furio's face for the first time, that wasn't the end of the mystery. That was just the beginning of the revelation. That was WWE showing their hand slightly, giving the smart fans enough information to start connecting the dots, while leaving just enough ambiguity for the casual audience to stay invested. And that's the genius of it. If you know who Don Furio is, if you know about Black and Brave, if you've been following the Rollins injury and the Vision's implosion, you're already 10 steps ahead. You see where this is going. But if you're just a casual viewer, you're still in suspense. You're still wondering if there are more masked men. You're still waiting for the big reveal. WWE is playing both audiences perfectly. The failed pact on SmackDown wasn't a failure at all. It was reconnaissance. It was Seth Rollins, through his proxy, letting the Vision know that he's coming. That no matter how far they run, no matter how much they try to rebuild without him, he's going to be there. In the shadows, in the ring, through his students, through his allies, everywhere and nowhere all at once. WrestleMania 42 is shaping up to be one of the most loaded cards in recent memory, and somewhere in that card, Seth Rollins is going to make his presence felt. Whether it's a match with Logan Paul, a confrontation with Paul Heyman, or a complete dismantling of what's left of the Vision, the Visionary is coming back. And when he does, the entire landscape of WWE is going to shift. So yeah, the Masked Man was revealed as Don Furio, but that's not the real story. The real story is that Seth Rollins just checkmated an entire faction without even being there. He used his resources, his connections, and his strategic genius to wage war from the sidelines. And now that everyone knows the game he's playing, the only question left is how much damage he's going to do when he finally steps back into that ring. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of wrestling fan we love at WrestleCore. We go deep. We connect the dots. We don't just report what happened. We tell you why it matters and where it's going. So do me a favor. Show some love to the channel. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already, because trust me, this storyline is just getting started and you're going to want to be here for every twist and turn. Drop a comment telling me your predictions. Do you think Rollins is behind everything? Is Don Furio just the first of many? And who do you want to see Rollins face when he finally returns? Let's talk about it in the comments. This is WrestleCore, and we'll see you in the next one.